Have you ever said all the right things and still felt invisible? You smiled at the right moments. You made her laugh. You gave a compliment so sincere it could melt ice. And for a split second, it felt like something sparked in her eyes. But then, just like that, it faded. She drifted. Her attention wandered. You were back in the zone, the one where she says you're sweet, but not her type, charming, but not the guy she thinks about at night. It's maddening, isn't it? You do everything right, and somehow you still feel like a background character in her story. But what if I told you there are words that don't just land, they linger? Words that don't just make her smile, they haunt her. Words that bypass logic and dive straight into the emotional circuitry of her mind. Words that echo days later when she's lying in bed, replaying your voice, wondering why you're so hard to forget. Not pick-up lines, not cheesy scripts, but 6 forbidden compliments, phrases wrapped in subtle psychological triggers that ignite a very specific kind of attraction, the kind that makes her lean in instead of pulling away, the kind that keeps you on her mind when every other man fades into the background noise. And here's the twist most men miss. Attraction doesn't begin with what she thinks of you. It begins with how she feels about herself when she's with you. When you make her feel seen, desired, challenged, and deeply curious, all without chasing her, that's when the emotional shift happens. And that shift? It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet, almost imperceptible. But once it happens, she's yours, in a way she won't even understand. So today I'll walk you through 6 forbidden compliments, phrases so psychologically charged they can alter the way she experiences you. And no, these aren't lines you memorize. They're invitations into a deeper emotional dynamic, weapons of emotional gravity, and most men will never dare to use them, because the final phrase, it's the one that flips the power dynamic entirely. Most men are terrified to say it out loud because they've spent their lives trying to be nice. But if you want to be unforgettable, if you want to trigger attraction that's felt, not forced, you'll want to stay with me until the end. But fair warning, once you learn these phrases, you'll start seeing how easily people give away their power in conversations. You'll notice how most men seek validation, how they perform instead of lead. And you'll understand why women are starving for something real, something rare, something that makes them feel again. Let's begin with the first phrase. But before we do, let me ask you this. Have you ever watched a woman's eyes light up when she talks about something she loves, only to notice that the man she's talking to completely misses it? He nods, he laughs, but he doesn't see it. Not really. He doesn't notice how her voice shifts when she speaks from passion. He's too focused on what he'll say next. And that right there is the first mistake. Because the first forbidden compliment isn't really a compliment at all. It's a mirror. And when used right, it forces her to see a version of herself she didn't even realize you could perceive. It makes her feel known. And when a woman feels known, she gets curious. Not about you, about what else you might see in her that she hasn't yet discovered. That curiosity, its emotional gravity, and it all begins with this phrase. You have a unique way about you. I like that. It sounds almost too gentle, too vague, to hold any real power. But that's where its magic lies, because this phrase, this soft, mysterious, almost offhand compliment, doesn't tell her who she is. It invites her to wonder. It asks a silent question. And that question? It creates a vacuum in her mind that she needs to fill. What does he mean? What does he see? What's so unique about me? That loop, once activated, doesn't shut off quickly. It lingers. It replays. She remembers how you looked at her when you said it. The smirk, the calm confidence, the presence. And now she's not thinking about what you want from her, she's thinking about what you've seen in her that other men missed. Because here's the truth, almost no one tells you. Women aren't looking for attention, they're drowning in it. Every day they get compliments on their hair, their body, their style, their smile. 1,000 words from 1,000 men, all the same, all surface level, all easy to dismiss. But when you say you have a unique way about you, you're not pointing to the obvious. You're hinting at something deeper. Maybe it's the way she listens with intensity, the way her eyes flicker when she's passionate, the way she chooses her words with precision. You don't need to name it. You don't even need to explain it. The beauty of this phrase is that it invites her to chase the meaning, to search for the answer, to wonder what you noticed that no one else ever has. And curiosity? Curiosity is attraction's silent twin. When a woman becomes curious about how you see her, she becomes invested. And when she's invested, emotionally, even subtly, you've already won a battle most men never even knew they were fighting. But here's the catch. This phrase only works when it's real. You can't fake this. You have to see something, not with your eyes, but with your attention. You have to watch the way she moves, how she speaks, how she responds when no one else is watching. And when you say it slowly. You hold eye contact, and you let the silence after your words do half the talking. Because the most powerful attraction isn't loud, it's slow, subtle, felt in the quiet. And in that quiet moment, she'll feel something she hasn't felt in a long time. Seen, not just looked at, not just admired. Seen. That's what this first phrase does. It doesn't flatter her ego, it awakens her identity. And once you awaken a woman's sense of self, the part of her that feels like you understand something even she hasn't fully put into words, you've sparked something she can't ignore. You've created a presence in her life, and presence is irresistible. But let's keep going, because the second forbidden compliment, that one doesn't just make her feel understood. It flips the entire dynamic of desire. It makes her qualify herself to you. And that's where most men fall off the map. They try to win her, impress her, prove themselves. But you're about to do the opposite, because the next phrase doesn't just show confidence, it demands it. It draws a line in the sand, and once you say it, she'll either rise to meet it or lose sleep wondering why she didn't. Here it is. I like women who know what they want. It sounds simple, almost too direct. But those 7 words, they do something most men are too afraid to even attempt. They flip the power dynamic. Because the moment you say this, everything changes. Suddenly, she's no longer the one being pursued. She's being observed. She's no longer deciding if you're good enough. Now, she's wondering if she fits what you're looking for. And that's the shift. That's the quiet, invisible moment when your energy speaks louder than your words ever could. Most guys spend their entire lives trying to be chosen. They tiptoe through conversations. They try not to offend. They laugh a little too hard, agree a little too quickly, compliment a little too much. All because deep down, they're operating from one question: am I enough? But a man who says, I like women who know what they want, isn't asking that question. He already knows the answer. He's not trying to be chosen, he's doing the choosing. And women feel that. They feel it in the calm in your voice, the patience in your eye contact, the way you don't rush to fill silences, the way you never chase. You're not nervous, you're not waiting, you're evaluating. And that makes you rare. Because here's what almost no one understands. Attraction isn't about pursuit. It's about polarity. It's about tension. It's about 2 energies moving around each other, pushing and pulling. Not one person desperately lunging while the other floats just out of reach. When you say, I like women who know what they want, you're throwing down a subtle challenge. You're saying, I'm not impressed by beauty. I'm not moved by charm. I'm watching something deeper. Show me your direction. Show me your values. Show me you're not just floating, Show me you're intentional. And the moment you say it, her mind does something fascinating. She starts searching herself. She starts wondering what she really wants. She starts thinking about how she moves through the world and whether or not that movement would impress you. Now pause for a second. Let that sink in. You're no longer the one hoping to make an impression. You've become the mirror, the reflection that challenges her to elevate. And that's magnetic, because women aren't attracted to men who seek validation. They're attracted to men who live in alignment, who speak with purpose, who lead without needing applause. So here's how this forbidden compliment works best. Don't say it in response to nothing. Don't drop it randomly. Let it surface naturally in a moment of connection, when she's expressing an opinion, talking about her life, or asking you about what you look for in a woman. When she asks that, and eventually she will, don't hesitate. Look her in the eye. Take your time and say it slowly, calmly, like it's the most obvious thing in the world. I like women who know what they want. Then stop. Let it sit. Don't explain it. Don't justify it. Don't soften it with a laugh. Let it do its work. Because in that moment you've done something powerful. You've invited her into a higher frame, a reality where you don't chase women. You connect with women who've done the work, women who own their desires, women who walk in clarity. And if she's not there yet, that phrase will plant a seed. She'll think about it long after the conversation ends. And if she is that woman, she'll light up, because now you're not just another guy trying to make her feel good. You're the man who finally saw her clearly. But let's keep going, because what happens next takes things even deeper. You've set the tone, you've raised the bar. Now it's time to acknowledge her, but not in the way most men do. You're not going to compliment her looks, her laugh, or her vibe. You're going to tell her what you notice most about her, and what you say. It'll be the kind of compliment she'll think about at night, a phrase she won't forget. Because the third forbidden compliment, it's where connection starts to feel personal. It's where she realizes you actually see her. Here it is. That's what I like most about you.